What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Tenet. And I'll go ahead and start this off by saying right now there will be no spoilers in this video. I do understand that this is a very anticipated film for a lot of people, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they're not going back to the movie theaters until this movie comes out. So that's my promise to you guys. There will be no spoilers in this video, and quite frankly I don't really even know how to talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. So I'm going to do my best to keep this brief, just tell you my feelings, my thoughts on the movie itself, and not really talk about anything beyond what you may have seen in the trailers. So it's finally time to talk about Christopher Nolan's Tenet. He wrote, directed, and produced this film, and yeah, everybody's been kind of looking forward to it. It was delayed obviously due to the pandemic, and now it is finally in theaters. This film stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, and people like Kenneth Branagh, and even has some small appearances in this film by people like Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I didn't know was in this movie. And yeah, on an overall level, did I enjoy this film? Yeah, I really did have a good time with this film. I felt like it was a very, very good Christopher Nolan film. Not one of my favorites, but a film that I did really, really enjoy and I was very impressed with. However, I do have some negatives to talk about as the review goes on, but I want to start off with some of the biggest positives, and it has to be the technical elements of this film. Right out of the gate, the cast of this film is phenomenal. Everybody gives a completely believable performance. Everything feels very tangible, very grounded, and I really enjoyed the cast of this film. Everybody is at a very, very high level of acting in this film, and I never felt like anybody gave a weak line or a weak performance at any point in the film. Then you have the cinematography, which was stunning. Not only was it just completely beautiful to see him use practical effects and stage some of these shots in an incredibly beautiful way, especially when it comes to the inverted time element of the film, but yeah, just the locations that they filmed on and just everything about the way the film looks on a cinematography level was beautiful. I really enjoyed the complete look of this film, and seeing it in theaters definitely elevated that experience. Something that I thought was funny before I went into the movie was earlier today I actually saw some articles saying that some people who had gone to see Tenet early at some of the earlier screenings were either saying that they hated the sound editing in this film or just the sound mix in general, or some people saying that they felt like Christopher Nolan was a genius for the way that the sound is edited in this film. And I'm definitely a little bit more on the latter. I really enjoyed the sound editing of this film, and I just really enjoyed the use of the score in the film, as well as just the kind of loud moments with the action. Just everything kind of felt like it was very much in your face when things were happening. And like I mentioned just a moment ago, the practical effects that he captures on screen. I mean, anybody who knows Christopher Nolan knows that he is phenomenal when it comes to effects, and he is very, very true to himself and uses a lot of practical effects. There is a very minimal use of CG in this film. Majority of it is all caught on camera, and I just think that the use of practical effects in his films just completely make the films feel a lot more tangible and a lot more grounded, and this film is no different. There's a beautiful use of practical effects in this film, and again, the locations that they were on, you could just tell that they were on site for these places. It wasn't some green screen that kind of fills in the back. You could just tell there was so much depth behind the camera, and I really, really enjoyed the overall practical element of this film. So yeah, the performances, the cinematography, the music, the sound editing, and all of that jazz was really, really good. And I think that without a doubt, this is a movie for film lovers to go to theaters to check out, or if you can't see it in theaters, even when you just watch it at home, even though I think seeing it in theaters would be better, I think this is a movie that is just going to captivate a lot of people just on those technical elements alone. Now, what I will say is that going into the movie, I have to commend the marketing team for doing a really good job of making the movie really kind of, you don't really know what it is, you know what I mean? Going into the movie, I had no idea really what the premise was going to be, other than the fact that some guy becomes part of some organization, he's some sort of agent, and he's given some sort of word. He's given the word Tenet, and you know, in the trailer they say it can open the right doors and it can open some wrong doors as well. And yeah, you really don't know what's happening in the movie. I felt like I had no idea what the premise was outside of just the fact that there's this word that you kind of get you in and out of some situations, and that there's something that have to do with inverted time. And other than that, I had no knowledge at all what this movie was going to be about, and I'm going to leave it at that as far as you guys go. I don't want to tell you any more, and I have to commend the marketing team for keeping it under wraps, especially in a day and age where a lot of trailers kind of give away a little bit too much information. This film did not do that, and I felt like throughout the film there were so many things I just didn't expect based on the marketing. I think what Christopher Nolan did here was create a very clever script that really ask a lot of the audience. He does not treat any of us audience members as dummies. He really wants you to be able to just watch this movie and let things unfold before you. He puts a lot of trust in the audience to figure things out as the movie goes on. There were two things in the movie that I did predict earlier in the film, but I feel like they were pretty easy things to predict. I think there's some of the only things in the film that kind of lend themselves to being predictable as the movie goes on. But a lot of this film is shrouded in mystery and secrets and characters that are keeping secrets and that are mysterious. So there's so much of this film where you don't know what's really going on. Quite frankly, in the first 30 to 40 minutes of the film, I didn't really even know if I was enjoying the film, because on a performance level and the dialogue and everything seemed fine. But majority of the first half of the movie was really focused on exposition. A lot of the dialogue in the film, it is very exposition heavy, is very intellectual, and it just feels like something that you cannot fully understand until the end of the film. This is a film that's definitely going to thrive on you seeing it a second time. Watching it the first time, I think that you'll be really surprised by certain things, or you'll be like, oh, okay, things will start to kind of be recontextualized. You'll have more answers as the film goes on. But the first 30 to 40 minutes of this film just had so much exposition that really just, you can't really understand it until the film is over. There's so much that happens and that is said, and you're able to follow things along, but you really don't know the full circle of things until the very end of the film. And I think in that way, it kind of hurt the first half of the movie. I think that it's a very ballsy script, and I think that the way that he chose to tell the story makes it very trusting in the audience. You know what I mean? You have to stick around and kind of be like, all right, try to figure things out for yourself. And then things start to make sense in the end of the second act and more into the third act. But for the first act and like the first half of the second act, you really don't know what's going on. There's dialogue, the characters are going here and there, you know the basic idea of what they're doing, but you don't fully understand what Tenet is, you don't fully understand the inversion of time, and they don't really do a lot to explain it to you other than these characters having a shit ton of exposition that just sounds super intelligent, but I don't know that I fully ever really felt like I understood it until the end of the movie. It wasn't until like the midway to the end of the film that I really started to go, oh, okay, and then they started to reveal things, and there's twists and turns that start to explain things. And sure, a lot of movies do that kind of thing where you're kind of left in the dark until the end of the film, but because so much of the first part of this film is focused on dialogue, and a lot of dialogue that is incredibly intelligent sounding, it can be a little bit confusing. And I think that this is one of those movies that if you have to pee halfway through the movie, you better really hold it, because I can't imagine anybody going to the bathroom in the first 30-40 minutes of the film and coming back and being able to pick up without feeling a little bit lost. And if you leave your friend there at the seat and go, hey, what happened, when they come back, there's no way, based on the dialogue of this film, especially in the first part of the film, where they'll be able to actually explain to you what happened without them missing something on the screen. It's just a film that you really do have to pay attention to all the dialogue and all of the little moments, because it is a really intellectually clever script while also being a very dense. It's a very dense plot with a lot of stuff and a lot of pieces to it. And there's a lot that I feel like kind of went over my head, and I'm kind of looking forward to rewatching it a second time so I can hopefully find some new understanding with certain things that felt kind of a little bit confusing to me in the first portion of the film. So do I recommend Tenet? Yeah, I do think this is a really good movie. I think that if you're a fan of movies, I think if you're a fan of Christopher Nolan, I think that he's created a very clever script here that puts a lot of trust in us as audience members to kind of just stick around, hear out the script, and see where the movie goes. And then by the time it hits the end of the film, you know, you're really engaged in what's going on. But a big problem I had with the first half is that it does feel pretty slow at times. I found myself in moments in the earlier half of the movie thinking, there's so much about this film that's so well done, and I'm super into everything that's happening, but I couldn't help but feel a little bored at times. There's so much about the cinematography and the performances and kind of this clever idea that was super cool, but I was a little bit bored. And my girlfriend who was with me, you know, she enjoyed the film too, but she kind of felt like the first half of the film was kind of boring too. And I actually kind of like got a little second wave of energy in the second half of the film once things started to pick up again, because there was a chunk of the film where it felt like, where are we going? What is the purpose? I didn't really understand what the character's purpose was, other than them what they're saying and what they're doing, but I didn't really understand the urgency behind it, other than the fact that they just said that they had to. And then, you know, the whole time inversion thing doesn't really make sense until the later half of the film. And again, a lot of films do that where a lot of the answers come in the later half, but I feel like so much of the time in the beginning of the film was spent with such heavy exposition and dialogue that comes across incredibly like intelligent, that you kind of feel like, am I missing something a little bit here? And a perfect example is I've had some people tell me that actually saw the movie say that they were mind blown, and I've had some people actually post on Facebook saying that they love the film, but they felt a little confused throughout it. And I think that that's going to be the reaction a lot of people are going to have. I think some people are going to watch this movie and be a little bit confused with some of the earlier elements of the film until things start to be unraveled. And I think, again, this is a movie that's really going to benefit from people going back and rewatching it after they've seen it a first time, which I am excited to do at some point. But also, it's not a film after everything I saw that I'm clamoring to watch a second time immediately, but I do look forward to checking out again at some point. Visually beautiful. As far as the practical effects, the cinematography, the performances, so much about this film on a technical level is stunning, and I think that Christopher Nolan created a challenging film here that's going to challenge audience members, and I don't think this film is going to be for everybody, but I am curious to hear what you guys have to say. So have you seen this movie? Are you looking forward to this movie? Hit that like button down below if you enjoyed this video. I do recommend this film. I think, again, if you're a fan of film, go check it out. If you're a fan of Christopher Nolan, there's definitely something here for you. Again, leave your comments down below, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you guys want to see more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.